Sir, we've been waiting for this moment. Please deliver the verdict.
Guilty on all 4 counts, unanimous by this jury. The defense did ask to have the jury polled. They all affirmed that that was, in fact, their verdict. Guilty of 4 counts of murder, 2 counts of felony murder against Abigail Williams and Liberty German, 2 counts of intentional murder against Abby and Libby. Sentencing will happen on the 20th of December. The judge is setting aside all day. I can tell you when we got into the courtroom about 10 minutes till 2, it was somber. Very quiet. Nobody was talking. The room was filled with members of law enforcement, Indiana State Police, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. Abby and Libby's families were already inside the courtroom when the media was allowed in, and the Allen family was not present. The media members came in, took their seats. There were 14 seats available to the members of the general public. They were then brought in. Bradley Rosie and Jennifer Auger from the defense team were not in the courtroom. Richard Allen was. He was standing at the beginning talking with his defense attorney, Andrew Baldwin. The judge came in just after 2 o'clock and asked where Mr. Baldwin, or rather where Mr. Rosie and Jennifer Auger were, and the judge entered at 2:11, according to my notes. And Andrew Baldwin told the judge that they were waiting for Kathy Allen and members of Richard Allen's family to arrive. The judge said, so despite my directive to be less than 10 minutes away, she said the jury has reached a verdict. When can we expect them? Andrew Baldwin replied they were on their way up. They entered the room at about 2:14. At 2:15, the jury, or rather 2:19, the jury entered. You could not tell from the looks on their faces. They did not make eye contact with Richard Allen or either family members of the victims, Abby and Libby, or Richard Allen's family. They came in, they sat down, they looked weary. And again, the room was absolutely quiet. The judge had admonished the crowd not to have any outbursts, that regardless of what the verdict was going to be, there were going to be people who were going to be unhappy with it. She said you can take your unhappiness outside of the courthouse. Again, this jury finding Richard Allen guilty on all 4 counts of murder that he was facing after about 18 hours of deliberations over 4 days, Vinny.
So at the moment he's found guilty, everyone admonished not to say anything, not to react. What did you notice anything in the courtroom? Anything from a family member to Richard Allen?
Yeah, so his wife and mother, his wife Kathy and his mother Janice began sobbing. The people who were sitting around them hugged them, held them. They were audibly sobbing through most of the proceeding once that verdict was announced. There were members of Abby and Libby's family that were crying. There were others that just remained rather stone-faced as the verdict was read, and that immediate reaction. Once the sentencing date was set, the judge did say that we were free to leave. The law enforcement in the room allowed Richard Allen's family to leave first. After Richard Allen was outside of the court, he was immediately taken into custody. Obviously, he's been in custody, but that will change soon for him. Then the Allen family was allowed to leave, as were members of Abby and Libby's families. Some of their family members stayed to give hugs to members of the prosecution team, to Superintendent Doug Carter of the Indiana State Police and Lieutenant Jerry Holman of the Indiana State Police, as well as the prosecutor Nicholas McClelland, Stacy Diener, James Luttrell. A bit of a celebration in court, although they weren't being very loud with that celebration. I was on the opposite side of the room, but there were a lot of hugs going around, a lot of pats on the back. The prosecution, though, remained somber looking throughout this entire proceeding today. And again, you know, it was just very, very quiet in the courtroom. It was really the first time that I've been in the courtroom with all of these people, and you could hear a pin drop. A lot of reaction outside. I came out of the courthouse. I was one of the pool reporters today, so I did have my sign for the members of the media who were not in. And as people began to see this and realize what the verdict was, there was a lot of cheering, a lot of screaming for Abby and Libby, a lot of clapping. A lot of people are very happy with this verdict. Of course, not everyone is. Richard Allen's family appearing to be quite surprised by this verdict. The judge did also mention that the county, Carroll County, is not able to do that pre-sentencing report for Richard Allen. She had already talked to people from her county who are willing to do that. The defense did waive the 30-day sentencing, which is typical here in Indiana for sentencing to happen in December. Again, it'll be December 20th. They think they only need 1 day for that, and the judge has set aside the entire day. That is a Friday, December 20th. We'll be back here in Indiana to find out just how many years he's facing. Right now, he could be sentenced to 130 years or more. Vinny?
Barbara, Ted Rowland's with us for our verdict coverage here.